What's up, everyone? Lusky the Realtor back for a new segment. And if you can't tell, we've got a new setup as well. Took the last couple months to get things dialed in, but here we are in our new and improved studio. I like to call it the dojo because in this room, we are going to be having really smart people on to talk to them about how they help their clients navigate all sorts of different things, from buying and selling to investing and strategy. We're going to cover it all. We're also going to bring on our partners to talk to you about their experience, and so you can get a better sense of what they're all about. Should you be in the market, you can then have a resource like I do. Now, I do want to preface all this with, if you have any questions or if you have any comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below and check the description, because in the video, we're going to have all sorts of stuff that we're talking about, but all the resources will be down there for you as well. So without further ado, let's kick off our first episode where we're going to be sitting down with Johnnie Mercado with CMS Mortgage. Johnny's a great guy and he's super sharp, and I love his approach to educating his clients. So we're sitting down with him to talk about that approach, how he can help, and see a little bit more about what it's like on the lending side of things. So yeah, tell me about this jersey, CMS.
Yeah, so I got these. So I was at CMS maybe like 3 years ago now. I left for 2 years. And when I came back, they offered me, they're like, hey, we're going to get you some new polos, but we have to order new ones. And if we order new ones, it's the same cost as if, we order you a jersey. Like a jersey. I was like, well, show me what the jersey looks like. And they're like, well, no, make it and see if if you like it, to get it. Yeah. So I decided to get this one that says Lenders. Year I was born, nice. 94. My last name in the back, and then obviously the CMS patch over here on the left.
Dude,
so I thought it was cool. It was different. It's kind of my style too. Yeah. I'm like a super, like a Dodger fan, so it's like a baseball jersey. So yeah, it was pretty cool. It's different. It's different. Yeah.
Oh man, I guess this probably isn't the best time to tell you I'm a Giants fan. Is that going to affect what we're doing?
I'm heading out. Yeah, but you're from up north, so it's fair.
Okay,
it's
cool.
fair. It's fair. It would suck to be a Giants fan, but
it has been rough. We've had our moments. That's a little too high. I kind of grew up within like the Barry Bonds, Rich.
Okay, yeah. No, that was a great time though. That was a great time.
Yeah, and so growing up through that, not knowing what was going on, it's magical.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you were seeing nothing but hitters.
Yeah, like to be there, that was really cool. But all that said, from San Jose, so Bay Area on all levels as far as sports go.
And I respect it. You're probably also like a 49er fan.
Yeah. Which they had a rough year, but
I'm a Cowboys fan. I can't say much.
Yeah. Okay, so we got some rivalries, but
I feel not as bad as the Eagles.
Yeah,
but something.
Yeah, but we work well together. I think that's a big part of why we're here today.
For sure.
I think it's really cool, and for those that are just joining us in this episode, we're kind of just going to get to know Johnny, local lender here in Ventura. Young guy, super sharp, really knows how to not only take care of his clients, but also educate them, which is something that I really believe in. And so I kind of just wanted to maybe pick your brain about a couple things. So we kind of got started with like a little bit about you and like your sports and stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe we could start a little bit further back. Like, where are you from? How long have you been doing this?
For sure. Well, from the top, I'm originally from South Oxnard. Shout out to South Oxnard. The South is for lovers. That's a big saying that we have out there. But from South Oxnard, grew up on Terrace Avenue, right off of Bart. So when you talk about South, I was like in the way south side of Oxnard. Really proud of where I'm from, but also very proud of where I'm going and, what the things that we've been able to do here. Went to Channel Islands High School, then afterwards went there for 2 years, and then I ended up transferring over to Pacifica High School. Through an introductory transfer, my mom was able to get me because all my friends, it's funny because during junior high, I went to RJ Frank, which is a middle school that's in Colonia. And all my friends were on the north side of Oxnard
Okay.
and none of my friends were really in the South. Like I kind of gravitated more to the group that hung out on the north side of Oxnard. And when we went to high school, there's two separate high schools, Channel Islands and Pacifica. So
Yeah.
most of my close friends were at Pacifica, and my mom helped me out to get an intra district, which allowed me to go to any high school I wanted to go to,
Mm.
so long as I kept my grades up. And
Okay.
luckily, I was like, I was always really into school. So honor student freshman year, and then obviously it goes to AP, advanced placement classes. So
Oh
I
wow.
then was an AP throughout high school. So did
That's
really well in
cool.
high school. Right after that, I got introduced to banking. That's actually where I start my finance career
Okay.
in banking as a teller at Wells Fargo. I was at Wells Fargo for 7 years of my career, but it was a really cool experience. Really cool experience. Met some really amazing people there, amazing mentors, and amazing, life coaches to a certain extent, where I was able to learn the process of becoming a loan originator.
Mm.
There was a lady that would walk in and out of the bank all the time. I was like, hey, I don't want to be behind this, this teller wall. Like, what's going on? What do you do?
Yeah.
Approached her. She taught me a little bit. Would hang out with her during my lunch. Her name's Evelina Escobedo. Shout out to you, Evelina, if you get to see this. And she kind of introduced me to the business, and I got a job as kind of an assistant for a little. Worked my way up. I think the big benefit that I got was that I really did start at the bottom of the
Mm.
banking world, which was, as
Mm-hmm.
a teller. I got to learn all the stages of banking, and then eventually all the stages of lending. So because
Mm.
I was an assistant at first,
Mm.
and then, I was offered the opportunity to become a loan officer on my own, or a loan originator, whatever you want to call it.
Mm.
I took the opportunity, and well, 12 years later, I'm here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I love the story about like how you kind of worked your way up because
Yeah.
I think that's a super valuable experience. I think in any industry,
For sure.
and just being able to kind of start there and just keep working it up,
Yeah.
that speaks volumes. And I think personally, it's going back to what you said earlier. We have some similarities in the sense that I did the same thing with an inter-district transfer.
Oh, sweet.
I wasn't in AP classes,
Yeah.
but went through a similar situation,
Yeah.
and that's just cool to kind of get to know that about you.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure,
Um,
man.
it's cool to see too that you're here in not essentially your hometown, but just outside here
For
in
sure.
Ventura. You got an office downtown,
Hmm.
and what is it that what is it that you like about being on the loan side of things? What kind of
So I've always been like a very numbers don't lie, right?
Mhm.
And as much as I love and hate to admit it, I love math.
Mhm.
I always had trouble with math growing up, but I was always very good at it.
Mm.
I see math as solving problems. Like, this is how I solve a problem, right? I
Mhm.
look at it as a puzzle. I love puzzles, and anytime you give me something to solve, I'm gonna get really excited about it, and I obsess over things. Like, I
Mm.
need to know how something works. So I have a very like a engineer's brain,
Yeah,
per se, like
I
a
hear you.
mathematical brain.
Yeah.
So I need to know how things work, forwards, backwards, sideways, inside, outside. Like, I need to know
Yeah.
everything about it. So when it came to math, and when it came to, you know, learning this side of the industry,
Mhm.
I realized that it's a pretty black and white thing when it comes to qualifying for a home. Um, and when I realized more and more that, huh, I get to help people, I get to meet people, but at the same time, I get to do something that's not just feeding my pocket and feeding my soul, but it's actually making me feel like I'm doing something that's like satisfying my need, my
Mhm.
ADHD brain, or whatever you want to call it. Like, okay, I think I found what I really like.
Yeah.
So the simple fact that I get to solve puzzles every single day,
Yeah.
that it's such a satisfying feeling.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And it's like, you throw me a problem and you
Yeah.
tell me that I can't do it. You almost just like became the fuel behind the, no, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it, and I'm gonna show you why.
Oh, dude,
Right?
I love that.
Yeah. So that's one thing that truly drives me.
Mhm.
And again, like I said, numbers don't lie, man. Like, I do the math. I try to do it every single way possible. And here's another thing that I don't share with many people, but I try to think of, okay, this is gonna go this way, and I know it's gonna go this way, but let's come up with 2 or 3 ways that it can go wrong.
Mhm.
Okay, now let's come up with solutions for those 2 or 3 ways that things can go wrong,
Mhm.
right? So I already have like a rebuttal for any underwriter's BS thing that they throw
Ah.
at me. I'm like, great. I'm glad you brought that up. Here's a
Yeah.
solution. right?
Yeah.
So I'm always thinking that way. And that's something that I think was, one, it's in my nature, and two, it's something that every single one of my mentors in this industry
Mm-hmm.
have taught me that, because I've
Yeah.
gravitated toward I guess you can say, the math nerd. I've
Mm-hmm.
gravitated toward the person that's kind of like I am.
Yeah.
And when I notice that they have the ability to solve problems before they even are a problem,
Mm-hmm.
I gravitate toward that person, because I
Yeah.
want to learn how to, push my brain to work that way.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I'm on this side of lending, or the business.
Dude, that's so interesting you say that, because I heard a couple things. The problem solving
Hmm.
being like something that you enjoy. I
Yeah.
think that's something that we share as
Hmm.
well. It's one of those things that when someone says you can't do something, I always say, okay, hold my beer, or like,
Yeah.
just watch.
Yep.
And I say that because similarly to you, I feel like when you've been through enough, you understand the different outcomes. You understand how to handle different situations.
Yeah.
Um, what is it that you've noticed from a lender's perspective? Like, what type of situations are coming up that you're now having to figure out and help your clients navigate? Is there anything that kind of stands out?
I think the biggest thing is coming to a realization that if you're a first time home buyer, or even a move up buyer, um, understanding that whatever you think or you're comfortable paying on a monthly basis is probably not going to be what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of the first questions that I like to ask clients is, okay, tell me what you feel comfortable paying on a monthly basis,
Mm-hmm.
right? And 9 out of 10 times I'm breaking hearts from the start, because they're telling me, oh, 2,500 bucks. Okay, no. If you're coming in with minimum down payment, first time home buyer, you're not going to be paying that much money for an entry level home.
Mm-hmm.
Even a condo, you're not,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think helping people come to the realization that, hey, you're going to be paying more than what you want to pay initially,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a long term investment. And then there's tax benefits and all these other things that help you,
Yeah.
become a homeowner, or when you're a homeowner.
Right.
Once they realize that, I think that's the biggest thing. It's getting them in and kind of ripping the band-aid off, like
Mm-hmm.
saying like, hey, you're not paying 1,800 bucks a month for a
Mm-hmm.
mortgage. Whatever your parents' mortgage is not what your mortgage is going to look like. I think
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest struggles. And then another thing is like just unrealistic expectations from people. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, people thinking like, yeah, I'm going to buy my dream home initially. Like, well, no, that's not really possible unless you're making a lot of money, or you're in a very great financial position,
Mm-hmm.
or you're in a position where you can put a lot of money down. You're not buying your dream home up front.
Yeah.
So I think those are the biggest issues that or not issues, but obstacles that I have to navigate through.
Mm-hmm.
And then most importantly, of course, explaining the buying process to people.
Yeah.
Because I have to remember, and I remind myself every single time I get an opportunity, that I may know what certain things mean. And in the lending world, there's so many acronyms.
Right.
It's insane,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like, there's MI and there's PMI. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of people don't know the difference,
Yeah.
right? One's private mortgage insurance and
Yeah.
another one is just mortgage insurance,
Right.
right? There's a difference, a big difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one's
Yeah.
FHA, one's conventional.
Yeah.
So as simple as that, like, being able to explain the process to people and being able to explain these acronyms to people to where they
Mm-hmm.
understand it, that's another obstacle that I'm seeing. But
Yeah.
all things that I feel are we can overcome these obstacles. It's nothing too crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's interesting because I feel like those are a lot of the same obstacles that my clients are, facing. And I think it's partially because there's some misconceptions and bad information out there. I mean, social media and the internet, you can get a wide mix of
Yeah.
advice. When you're seeing the clients coming in with these, questions, what is like your process? What is your onboarding process like to help them figure out what's best for them?
So my process is pretty straightforward. It just really depends on what the client is looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I try to gauge the conversation from the initial phone call or from the initial meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and based on what I feel, is kind of where the conversation goes.
Mm.
There's a lot of situations where clients have told me, "Hey, I'm not here to create a friendship with you. I'm here to do a loan. Like, that's all I want from you. Okay, cool. Strictly business.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's a lot of situations where I do want to get to know my clients. 99% of the clients that I help,
Yeah.
I build a friendship with, and I probably end up at one of their celebrations. Like
Yeah.
I'm very close to most of my clients, and I
Mm-hmm.
follow up with them very, often and just checking in on them, right? They
Yeah.
become friends.
Yeah.
They become friends. So my process, it's I call them, I get to know them, I introduce myself, I say, hey, talk to me about your questions. Let me see if I can even help you. I never promise like, hey, I can help you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, let's see how we can get things going. No, no, no. Like, talk to me about your situation.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can even help you. I don't know if I can, but let's see if I can even help you, right?
Yeah.
But getting to know them, I think my biggest, I guess you can say, strength with that initial call is that I'm asking a lot of questions. I
Yeah.
want to get to know the client. I want to know what their need is, and then based on what their answers are, I can kind of gauge where the conversation is going to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's huge. I think the initial consultation, and you've said this, and it's a reminder for our audience, like it all starts with a conversation. And
Yeah.
if you are thinking about purchasing, you need help with financing, whether that's moving up or just moving into your first house,
Mm-hmm.
Johnny's information will be in the description on this video. So hit him up and reach out with your questions and just start the conversation, because
Yeah.
one of the things that I've seen a lot of my clients on the buyer side go through is being unrealistic with the time frames.
Yeah.
I think it's super important to talk about, the buying process with them up front, but also there are sometimes certain situations where they may have certain things that are preventing them or not necessarily helping them on their path to homeownership.
Yeah.
Things like dealing with debt,
Mm.
consolidating credit, dealing with all sorts of different things related to their financial picture. What are some of the things that you see, and how are you kind of helping people before they're actually out there ready to make an offer?
Yeah. I'm glad that you bring that up. I think the first and most important thing when it comes to this buying process is the client, the person looking to buy, has to want it more than you and I want it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because here's the thing, I can want it bad for everyone, right? But if the client doesn't want it, the person wanting to buy doesn't want it, I can't force it. I
Right.
can't force someone to do something that they're not ready to take on or that they don't want to take on, right? Like homeownership is a big step.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times the way that I deal with this stuff, like for example, some of the issues that I do run into is like, hey, I don't have enough money in the savings account. I don't have enough, credit or whatever the case is. I tell them, okay, how serious are you about this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm very serious. I want to do this within 6 months. Perfect. I'm going to give you a solution. It's not going to be an easy solution. It's going to be a tough solution, but this is the only solution we have to the situation. Now, if you want to do it, these are the steps. These are 3 things that you have to do in
Mm-hmm.
order to make it happen. Once you complete these 3 things, we can have another conversation.
Yeah.
But if you don't complete these 3 things, I'm sorry, but I can't waste my time on you versus working with a family that is doing that or working with a person that is doing that, right?
Yeah.
For example, I run into a lot of clients with bad credit. Unfortunately, bad credit is like a common thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the common cold. Everyone has bad credit for some reason, but it's easy to mess up your credit. You'll mess up your credit with 1 30-day late,
Mm-hmm.
okay? But when it comes to fixing credit and actually taking the journey to pay things off, no one's willing to make the phone calls to the credit bureaus. No one's willing to make the phone calls to the creditors. No one is willing to take the steps that we need to take to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing, I can't do it for them. And if a client or a future buyer isn't showing enough commitment to where they can actually make these phone calls and do these things for themselves, I can't do it for them.
Yeah.
Right. So stuff like that, like, and even savings things. I talk to people all the time about savings. Like, hey, becoming a homeowner, it's a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
Like, we have to start budgeting even to small things like, how many times am I going to Starbucks this week?
Mm-hmm.
Right. What subscriptions do I have? Like, we need to take a very granular approach
Yeah.
to our finances when we want to buy a home. So
Mm-hmm.
if clients are willing to take the time to sit with me and go through I will sit with someone and go through their bank statements with them
Mm-hmm.
and put like red marks next to the purchases. And I'm like, oh, this is a BS. You don't need this, and this.
Yeah.
These are living expenses. Let's put your wants and your needs on one side, right? Wants on one side, needs on the other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these are wants.
Yeah.
You can make coffee at home. Okay. And I'm not talking about buying a Keurig and no. I'm talking about you're getting instant coffee. This is what you're getting for the next 6 months because you want to save money, right?
Yeah.
But it's making those things. And sometimes not even that can help. Sometimes it's having a serious conversation about what are we going to do to increase your income?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it can be something like, hey, talk to your boss. Can we work toward a promotion?
Mm.
Right? Can we get any kind of certification to increase your income? Because sometimes it might be that. Sometimes it's not. They could be working the full 80 hours every 2 weeks and doing what they're doing. But if it's not generating enough income, we also have to be realistic.
Yeah.
And this is where we're having those tougher conversations. But I'm helping people, and this is what I mean by, I say it all the time, just kind of like I say, it all starts with a conversation. I'm going to give you one of two things when you meet with me, right? I'm going to give you your golden ticket, which is your pre-approval letter to go shopping and do the fun part, or I'm going to give you a game plan. Okay. If I give you a game plan, you have to follow these steps to do it, right? To become eligible to purchase a home.
Totally.
If you don't do them, I can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's how I manage some of those obstacles, though.
No, it's cool because, like, as a realtor, I'm running into clients and they are mentioning these things. And as an agent, we don't get into their finances. We don't get into the nitty gritty. While we can go through like exercises, helping them figure out budgeting and stuff, I found in my experience, it's best to work with a partner like you to help them go through that, help them work on their credit. You bring up a really good point, like looking at creative ways to increase their income. And that could be a variety of things, which is cool to hear that that's part of your conversation with them. And when I talk with buyers, I often mention that, this is a process. It's not an event. Like you mentioned, giving them their golden ticket, which is, fun to say. And it is great once we've received everything that we need to give them that golden ticket, that pre-approval letter. I think this might be a good opportunity to talk about what does it even take to get pre-approved? Like, I know it's going to be situational,
for sure.
And, there's self-employed versus W-2, there's all sorts of different nuances, but like at a high level, if someone were to want to go get into the market, what do they need to do?
It's a pretty easy process. I whenever I'm asked that question, I tell people, look, I move as fast as you move, right? I move as fast as my client moves. I've had situations where a client takes a week to get me everything I need, but I've also had situations where a client takes literally 30 minutes to get me what I need. Within the hour, they have a pre-approval in their hands. So I can move at the speed of the client. Right? Very straightforward. I send you an email with my needs list, which is 2 years tax returns, a month of pay stubs, 2 months of bank statements, where your money's coming from for your down payment, closing costs, W-2s, pay stubs, ID, social. I send you a list of what I need, and then also my online application. Once you fill out the application and upload the documents, I'm getting to work on it, or my assistant's getting to work on it. As soon as we get everything dialed in, I set up a follow-up call with you. We go over details. If you can't jump on a phone call, I'm putting together some sort of video to send out to you so I can explain to you your pre-approval. And then what I do is I send you your pre-approval letter with a breakdown, a financing breakdown, and I CC your preferred agent, and we're out there shopping.
Nice.
But as far as the process goes, man, it can be, like I said, 60 minutes, 2 weeks, a week, whatever the client, takes. And that's kind of where we can gauge the how serious the buyer is about actually moving forward. Right? Because I've gotten to a point where I don't waste my time on people that are just like, kicking the can down the road. Like I can't. Right. There's more people that need my assistance than that actually need my help. So for those that are kicking the can, yes, I will give them my attention, but I'm not going to be reaching out to them every day. Like, here, this is what you have to do. Once you do that, we'll talk. Boom, on to the next. So that's essentially that's the process. Pretty straightforward. Fill out an app, submit your docs. Let's go.
And I think this is a good opportunity to talk to the viewers, because if you are prepared, you've done your homework, you've got your documents in order, it can be really quick. And that's something that we've experienced because, working with clients, sometimes they don't want to start the process until they find that house that they love. And it's something that I always like to bring up, if you're in a position and you have all your documents ready, you can wait.
For sure.
You can still start the conversation and get that ball rolling. So that way, when the opportunity comes up, you're in a position where you can actually pursue it. And I think that's huge, because sometimes people are like, I don't want to submit all my documents. I don't want to impact my credit. Because when you go through the full process, you're essentially verifying their credit, their income, assets, all that fun stuff, employment. Um, is there a window that people can like basically start that conversation, get pre-approved, and then not have to worry about like reapplying?
Yeah. So what I tell everyone when they're asking me a similar question, like, "Hey, when should I start?" Start now. Start sooner than later because you want to be able to know what to expect, right? A lot of times, what happens with the buyers that you, for example, what you're experiencing when people say like, "No, I'll go through the pre-approval process when I find something I like." Okay, beautiful. Let's say you fall in love with that property, and then when we run the numbers, you don't qualify. What does that do to you? Is that a service or a disservice to you?
Yeah.
That's a disservice because then not only is it a disservice to the client, but it's also a disservice to us
Mm-hmm.
because we're wasting our time showing homes that they can't afford,
Yeah.
right? Now, one of my favorite things to do is giving the client a breakdown. Look, this is what down payment looks like for something at, let's say, 750, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
what your down payment's going to look like. This is what we need you to come in with, okay?
Yeah.
This is what your closing cost is going to look like, right? This is an estimate. When you give a client kind of a, let's say that you give them the blueprint to what it's going to look like to buy, it
Mm-hmm.
allows them to shop with confidence, right? My main goal every single time I talk to a buyer is I want educated buyers. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want people buying just because everyone else is doing it. And I tell this to every single person I have the opportunity to speak about homeownership with. I want you to become a knowledgeable buyer, okay? So that you understand what taxes you're going to pay. You know what supplemental tax is. A lot of people here don't know what supplemental tax is,
Yeah.
right? So that you understand why you're paying taxes. What rate am I paying for my tax? Is it 125 or is it 118? Right? Am I
Mm-hmm.
paying Melrose? Why am I paying Melrose? What does Melrose cover?
Yeah.
Okay. If I'm paying mortgage insurance, what rate am I paying for mortgage insurance? Is
Mm-hmm.
my lender actually shopping for the mortgage insurance rate so that I can pay less? Are they doing me a service or a disservice? So these are all things that I educate people with in that
Mm-hmm.
buying process, right?
Yeah.
So having the adequate time to be able to explain these things to a buyer is extremely important.
Yeah.
Because then guess what? When
100%.
they're out shopping, they want to see something at 750. Oh, Johnny already explained what it's going to look like to me. Yes, he said that these are estimates, but I know that I'm going to spend about, let's say, just throwing out a number, right? I know I'm spending anywhere from 60 to 70,000, depending on what the rate looks like, depending on what the closing costs look like.
Mm-hmm.
60 to 70 grand. I have 85 in the bank. I'm comfortable at 750. Perfect. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Right. So you're allowing them to shop with confidence versus being like, dang, what's the payment going to look like? What's my rate? What's
Yeah.
this? What's that? I would rather have buyers that are shopping with confidence. Not only is it doing it for the buyer,
Yeah.
but also for you as the partner.
Yeah.
Because you're knowing you know that, hey, if there's a pre-approval with Johnny Mercado on it, I know for a fact that he already went through all the details with them.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have a client that's gonna have cold feet, and I'm not gonna have someone that's gonna be like, whoa, the payment's what?
Yeah.
No. By the time that you're showing that home, they already know what to expect.
Yeah.
They have the payment in their hand.
Yeah.
In a group text with you, the clients, there's a group text, everything is broken down.
Yeah.
They know what to expect. So when you shop like that, you're shopping with confidence, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I always tell people, the earlier you start your home buying journey, the better it's going to be. I have clients that I just closed one recently in December, November, I think it was, that this lady, her name's Claudia, and her husband's Giovanni. They were shopping for a full year and a half
Mm.
before they pulled the trigger, and they said, "Hey, let's do it." But the moment that they were going to submit offers, they're like, "Boom, whatever you say, yeah, let's go, let's do it." 30 days later, they had keys in their hand, and they're super happy because everything that I told them, "Hey, this is what it's going to look like,"
Yeah.
it was exactly that.
Yeah.
And they were confident buyers. They know what to expect. They know what supplemental tax is from the day they got their keys.
Oh,
They
yeah.
understand what they're gonna pay.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me is like we're creating educated buyers, and that's my goal.
Yeah. 100%. I think the big thing that I took away from that was the education piece
Yeah.
and the consultation that it takes to get the buyer, to the point where they're not stressing out. They're not, rushing necessarily. They are in a informed position. They're confident. They know what their options are, because that's a big thing too within the process is
Yeah.
identifying what loan product you want to go with and
Yeah.
the payment and the terms that go with that. I always talk to my buyers and I say, you're not just buying a house.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can refinance, but you are committing to a mortgage. And
30-year mortgage.
yeah, and depending on your strategy and what your long-term plan is, different loan products might be better and
For
it
sure.
might be worth exploring. And that's where, getting back to it, the education that you provide, the
Yeah.
consultation, walking them through those options, I think is invaluable, especially if a buyer is serious, because they can start that process, just like we said, with an easy conversation, simple, just going through the numbers, kind of give you some ideas. And then
Yeah.
it's really up to them if they want to keep going. Like, you have the resources, the knowledge, and the expertise to share the stuff that they need
Yeah.
when they're ready. And I just think that's super cool, because I'm the same way. When I'm working with my buyers, I'm very educational in the approach. It's like
Yeah.
the first consultation is not, tell me what you picture your dream house look like. It's like, what are we trying to do? What's your strategy? We don't get into the finances, because that's where I defer to my partners.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we get into like how we can create a game plan
For
for
sure.
them. And I think it's just really helpful for me as a realtor to hear that from the lending side, because there's so many moving parts on the lending side.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any interesting stories or scenarios that have come up through your experience? Like, as far as like lending?
Yeah, man, I have a lot. I'm for a while. For a while I was kind of known to be the guy to kind of clean up the mess. I was starting to get a lot of referrals from agents, clients who were in escrow who couldn't close with other lenders. And here's the thing, again, going back to kind of the first part of this conversation, where if you give me something and you tell me you can't do this, it's almost like putting a fire under my butt, like telling me like, oh, you're not capable of doing this.
Yeah.
And I say, okay, cool. Let me show you why.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very much like a reader. So one of the things that I've learned from one of my mentors is read guidelines. And this guy tells me, he's like, dude, if you're sitting in the pooper, read guidelines. If you're sitting in traffic and you're the passenger, read guidelines. If you're on an airplane, read guidelines. Like, just educate yourself on the product that you're selling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I do. And obviously, every lender is going to have a different, or every underwriter is going to have a different interpretation of how we look at things. So just because one bank said no does not mean that another bank is going to say no, right? It just, you kind of gauge like, okay, this is the situation. This is where we're at. Let's pivot. Let's move it here because they will accept this, right? I had a situation in Santa Paula. In Santa Paula, where the client comes, DACA recipient, bank statement loan, like a really wonky situation. Most banks would say no to this because bank statement, DACA, that most don't like both of those, at the same time.
Yeah.
I was able to find a solution for the buyer. I was able to keep the same interest rate that they were offered, match whatever the other lender was doing, and I was able to fund that loan within, I think it took me like 14 days to fund that loan, something like
Wow.
that. Stayed within the time frame, everything was fine.
Wow.
And it's because, again, we're solution driven, right?
Yeah.
And the way that we do business in our office is solution driven lending. Like, we're not, by the time that I tell you that there's an issue with a file, I already have 2 or 3 ways to solve it, right? And the benefit of that is that we really like to focus on, like, okay, bring it to the team. We have a group message with all the loan officers in my office.
Yeah.
And if anyone ever has any issue with a file, we get to throw that scenario in that group and say, everyone, give us like, what would you do here?
Yeah.
And it's like, 7 or 8 of us that have been doing this long enough to say, oh, I ran into this, take it to this bank and do this, and this, set it up like this, and that. You're like, boom, looking like rock stars.
Yeah.
We look like rookies in that group chat, but when we're out there in the field, we're looking like rock stars.
Yeah.
Another reason why I have this jersey is because I tell everyone on my team, if you're wearing my jersey, I want you to look like a rock star. Come with me with the stupid questions, or bring the stupid questions to the team. We'll figure it out. I want you to go out there and look like a rock star, right?
Yeah.
So that goes back to, we're solution driven. Like, we're figuring out ways to finance things with, when other lenders can't do it. So it's very difficult for me to take a no.
Yeah.
Very difficult for me to take a no. Like, you truly have to sit there and explain to me, why are you giving me a no, and why are you making it difficult for me?
Yeah.
And then another really cool thing is that our in-house, underwriting is very, they're very focused on, okay, we can't do this, but let's find a solution. I'll work with you. Okay, let's figure something out that makes sense for both of us, so that it makes, we can sell the loan, and so that we can make money. Let's figure it out. This is for the buyer, right? we have a saying in the office, mission before commission,
Mm-hmm.
and we truly focus on like, okay, what can we do to make it happen for the buyer?
Yeah.
So situations like that, man, I run into a lot of stuff like that very often. As far as education goes, the one that I'm telling you, man, that Claudia and Giovanni, the ones that I just helped buy something in November, like they were Claudia was messaging me for like a year and a half maybe,
Wow.
and she was getting insight information on homes. She would ask a lot of questions. They filled out the application a year before they bought.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 12 months, 1 year before they bought, and by the time that they bought, I think maybe they saw like 2 or 3 houses before that. Oh, that's the one. And everything, boom, like butter. Everything was quick.
Yeah.
They understood why I was asking them for documents. They understood supplemental taxes coming. They understood why they're paying tax. They understood the insurance policy. They understood everything.
Mm-hmm.
But that process was seamless.
Yeah.
Why? Because they took the time to truly educate themselves.
Yeah.
And they allowed me to lead, right?
Yeah.
They allowed me to lead with education and you know, help them achieve homeownership. And they
Yeah.
actually ended up where they wanted to be at.
Man.
Yeah.
Dude, that's huge. I think a couple things I took away from that was the resources that you have, but also I think the tenacity and just the commitment to understanding, okay, why doesn't this work for this situation? Okay, how do we work this out? How do we find a solution?
Yeah.
I often tell myself, and this might be a self-proclaimed title, but like as a realtor, I'm a solutions engineer.
Yeah.
For real estate,
For sure.
buying, selling, investing, leasing, like all of it, land, commercial, residential. It's like so many different moving parts and there's so many different things, but it's at the same time, it's fun because we get to kind of, get under the hood, so to speak,
Yeah.
and really get into the nitty gritty and then take that insight and knowledge to our clients.
Mhm.
And I think the other thing I heard was like the team that you surround
Yeah.
yourself with, the resources.
Yeah.
And, I hate it when people pretend like they know everything.
Yeah.
I used to work for Apple, and
Oh, no way.
when we would get a question that we didn't know, it was always, I'm not sure, let's find out together. And that approach to just like figuring things out has always stuck with me.
Yeah.
And it kind of seems like that's what I'm hearing you guys do as a
Yeah.
team. It's like, hey, I don't know, but let me talk with my team and we can figure this out.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge.
Yeah. You know what? That's something that I learned from. I'm sure maybe whoever's watching this, I'm sure you know him, but Marty Smith. He's a good friend and a great mentor. He's an amazing mentor, man. He's teaching me a lot about lending and he's the one that's helped me see things. He takes a very interesting approach to business. He's very much the person that like has taught me to, hey, rip the Band-Aid immediately.
Mm-hmm.
If something's going south, boom, let everyone know it's going south. But don't go tell anyone unless you have a solution. And if you don't have a solution, you better tell them twice as fast, right? Let them know. And one thing that he's helped me understand is that it's okay to say I don't know. I used to have a lot of trouble saying that.
Yeah.
And through conversations with him and through his mentorship, I've learned that there is a lot of power in saying I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I've realized more and more transaction after transaction when I don't know something and I tell the client or I tell the listing agent or the buyer's agent, I don't know. Let me find out. That's a great question. I don't know the answer to it.
Yeah.
Let me figure it out.
Yeah.
There's almost like a sense of like respect for me saying like, hey, I don't know. Let me find out for you.
Totally.
So I think that that's a huge one. That's a very big learning moment that I've had, to be able to say, I don't know. And then also to be able to say, like you said, I don't know, but let's find out together.
Yeah.
Let me figure this out. I'm going to get you an answer. Right? Not just saying I don't know and just kind of letting it go, right? But saying like, hey, I don't know, but let's figure it out. I'm going to find the answer for you.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I think people, especially people in sales, right? Because at the end of the day, we're in sales, right?
This is true. And that's the thing.
We're at the end of the day, we're in sales, right? So a lot of people in sales, shitty salespeople, excuse my language, shitty salespeople.
Yeah.
They will always try to act like they know the answer to everything. And no, quite frankly, we don't know the answer to everything. And it's okay to say that.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna get more people to respect us by us saying, like, hey, I don't know the answer to that. Right. And then also the community and camaraderie that we've built at this office is just like next level. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
get no benefit from the guy next to me closing deals, but I think that our biggest thing in the office is you're wearing our jersey, right?
Yeah,
It
it's a
doesn't
team.
matter if I score 40 points and you score 80. I don't care. I just want to make sure that whoever's wearing the jersey looks like a rock star,
Mm-hmm.
so that when there's a pre-approval out there or there's an offer out there, whoever the listing agent is knows that, oh, that's CMS. Oh yeah, they're business, they're closers. I know
Yeah,
they're gonna make it happen.
yeah,
Right? Doesn't matter who it is. Oh, it's CMS. Yeah, no, they close.
yeah.
Right? And that's our biggest kind of, I guess, the common want for the office. Like, we
Mm-hmm.
want all of us to win.
Yeah, and I think that actually brings me to one of my questions that I had on here. And you kind of touch on it. Having the reputation out there, the local presence. I think
Yeah.
that's huge,
Hmm.
especially in our market. And I've worked with clients, and there's a lot of options online. Don't get me wrong; you can shop around online and almost instantly get a pre-approval,
For sure.
or so they call it. But in your experience, working locally, what's kind of the value for a consumer to work with a local lender and a local realtor?
So the biggest value that a consumer can get from working with a local realtor and a local lender is the fact that we've been building relationships in our community.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is I've been part of nonprofits. I've been part of a lot of VCCAR events and things where when people hear the name Johnny Mercado, they know who that guy is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because I was bugging them at a freaking event to donate to a nonprofit, right? Or maybe because I was speaking at a BCCAR caravan tour or whatever. Like, but whatever
Yeah.
it is, they can put a face to the name,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that's one of the huge benefits, and most importantly, the thing that we don't think about immediately as consumers is, wait, that person knows how business is done in that area,
Mm-hmm.
right? That person might know someone in the county that if we need to squeeze something through to get, to record, they might have a connection like that,
Yeah.
right? They know title and escrow. They work like this with that title and escrow company,
Yeah.
right? And that's one thing that I feel consumers, we don't think about that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Working with someone that's local, not only are they going to have those special connections with local people, but they're also going to know the area like no other person, right?
Yeah.
If you're looking for, let's say, if I come to you and say, hey, Brandon, I want to buy a home that's close to pet friendly parks, and I want to be close to a well graded school, like a school where, an amazing school in the area, and I want to live close to a Vons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Immediately your brain starts working. Oh, yeah, this neighborhood by Vaughn's, it has this great school.
Yeah.
There's a STEM school here. There's this, there's that, there's that. You know what, Mr. Customer? You know what, Johnny? I know of these couple neighborhoods that might fit your need. Check them out. Let's
Yeah.
find some homes in this area.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to have that benefit versus, let's say, me working with an agent from LA or an
Mm-hmm.
agent from Santa Barbara that, yeah, they might be amazing agents. They might be great agents in their area.
Yeah.
Right? But they are not going to know Ventura County the way that you and I know it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that that's one of the biggest benefits, but the one that sticks out to me the most is just the relationships, man.
Yeah.
You can't beat that.
I think that's the huge part that consumers don't
Yeah.
understand is the local relationships, especially as a buyer. If you're in a local market
Yeah.
looking to get into a house, um, the local lenders like Johnny, like you've shown up to the escrow title office, you've gone to the bank with your clients, you've delivered documents, you've gone with mobile notaries to like help your clients get across the finish line.
Yep.
And I think that's a big differentiator between local lender, a professional like Johnny, and then getting a pre-approval online.
Yeah.
People online, you know, I'm not going to badmouth them, but customer service, and especially when you're in the midst of buying the largest asset
Yeah.
that you'll probably ever buy in your life, um, it's important to have someone that you can call that's going to go to fight for you. And man, I really appreciate all your insights and just the education that you provide, because I
Yeah.
think as an agent there's certain things that we try to wrap our heads around and
For sure.
explain, but we're also limited. And so I think for those that are watching, again, if you're into, or if you're looking at getting into the market and you need help navigating the financial side, reach out to Johnny. We're going to have all his info in the description. And before we end it, I wanted to kind of ask you, what's kind of an interesting fact about you that people don't necessarily know?
I think I could share with you a couple. Band. Okay, so a very personal one. I grew up in a family of professional dancers. So I actually grew up dancing as a child, performing all over California. I used to compete.
No
For
way.
Latin music, salsa. I was a salsa dancer growing up.
Nice.
That was like a huge thing for us growing up. What else can I share? I think it might be an obvious one, but I've loved math since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I was in calculus A, B, and BC in high school. That was something that I was
Oh,
really
wow.
proud of. I could have graduated a year early, but I decided not to because my best friend didn't graduate early. So I ended up having, I think, one class my senior year, which was work experience.
Okay.
But I only had to go in on Wednesdays. So that was pretty cool. I think that. Oh, I have 3 cats, 2 of which are Bengals.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, some people know it on social media. Yeah, they see when I
Yeah.
post Bentley the broker.
Yeah.
Yeah, my big guy B.
Dude,
But yeah, those are a couple fun facts about me. Look, I'm like a very chill, laid back kind of guy. I love music. I love video games. I love math. I love helping people. That's my biggest passion.
Yeah.
The main reason why I got into lending was because I wanted to make an impact in my community. And when I realized that I can do that by helping people achieve the American dream, I fell in love with what I do. Obviously, we get paid very well to do what we do, but I truly fell in love with that because I'm helping other people achieve what I think is to me, it's like the ultimate goal, like achieving the American dream of owning a piece of Mother Earth. Like that is the
Yeah.
coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, dude. I always talk about, home ownership is like the start to building generational wealth.
100%. It's a
And
cheat code to wealth.
it is. And it's so interesting to learn about all the benefits that go into that.
Yeah.
And for our viewers, if you've stayed around this long, thank you. Be sure to leave your comments in the comment section below and like and share this with some of your friends if you think that they might find value in it. But also, before we go, Johnny, how can people get in touch with you if they're still watching?
For sure, if you guys are still watching and you want to get in contact with me, check me out on social media. You can find me anywhere on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook as Johnnie Mercado. That's JOHNNIE. And then my last name is Market in Spanish, MERCADO. You can check me out on there. Let's connect. If you guys have any questions, super happy to answer. And would love to think what you guys thought about this chat.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Until next time, take care.
Peace. Cool.
Cool, man.
Great combo, man.